the Soviet Union, one of the most powerful and controversial nations in modern history. It emerged from the ruins of the Russian Empire, reshaped global politics, and became a superpower that directly challenged capitalism. From Lenin's revolutionary ideals to Stalin's iron rule, from the tensions of the Cold War to its eventual collapse in 1991, the Soviet Union's story is one of ambition, power, conflict, and ultimate failure. In this video, we will cover the formation of the Soviet Union, its rise to global dominance, the key leaders who shaped its course, its ideological and military conflict with capitalism. The story begins in 1917, during World War I. The Russian Empire, ruled by Tsar Nicholas II, was crumbling under economic hardships and military failures. This led to the February Revolution, forcing the Tsar to abdicate. A provisional government was established but was soon overthrown by the Bolsheviks, a radical socialist group led by Vladimir Lenin in the October Revolution of 1917. Under Lenin's leadership, Russia withdrew from World War I and transformed into a socialist state. In 1922, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, the USSR, was officially founded, uniting Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, and other republics under communist rule. Lenin implemented policies such as the nationalization of industries and land redistribution. However, his death in 1924 triggered a power struggle. Eventually, Joseph Stalin emerged as the leader, ushering in a new era of Soviet rule. Under Stalin, the Soviet Union rapidly industrialized and collectivized agriculture, but at a devastating human cost. Millions perished due to famines and purges as Stalin solidified his control. Despite the brutal policies, the USSR became an industrial powerhouse. The Soviet Union's defining moment came during World War II. After initially signing a non-aggression pact with Nazi Germany, Stalin was betrayed when Hitler invaded in 1941. The USSR fought back fiercely, with the Battle of Stalingrad becoming a turning point in the war. By 1945, the Red Army had taken Berlin, and the Soviet Union emerged as one of the world's two superpowers. After the war, the USSR extended its influence, controlling Eastern Europe and establishing the Eastern Bloc. This set the stage for the Cold War, a prolonged global conflict between the Soviet Union and the United States. Following Stalin's death in 1953, Nikita Khrushchev took power, leading the USSR into a new phase. He condemned Stalin's crimes and introduced reforms, but his handling of events like the Cuban Missile Crisis weakened his position. Leonid Brezhnev succeeded Khrushchev, bringing stability but also economic stagnation. The Soviet Union remained a superpower, yet internal weaknesses began to emerge. In the 1980s, Mikhail Gorbachev introduced glasnost, openness, and perestroika, restructuring, in an attempt to revive the economy and allow political transparency. However, these reforms hastened the USSR's collapse instead of saving it. The Cold War defined the second half of the 20th century. The US and USSR engaged in military, technological, and ideological rivalries, from the nuclear arms race to the space race, where the Soviets launched Sputnik and sent Yuri Gagarin into space. However, Soviet expansion led to conflicts like the Korean War, the Vietnam War, and the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, which drained resources and weakened Soviet influence. Meanwhile, capitalism proved more adaptable. The US and its allies flourished economically, while the Soviet command economy struggled. The Cold War was not just a military standoff, but an ideological battle, and capitalism ultimately gained the upper hand. By the late 1980s, the Soviet economy was in decline, and nationalist movements were rising within its republics. The fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 signaled the collapse of Soviet influence in Eastern Europe. Gorbachev's reforms backfired, leading to instability and growing demands for independence. In 1991, a failed coup further weakened the Soviet government. By December 1991, the Soviet Union officially dissolved, breaking apart into 15 independent states. With that, the Cold War ended, and the world's second superpower ceased to exist. The rise and fall of the Soviet Union is a striking tale of ambition, ideology, and the limits of centralized control. While the USSR achieved remarkable feats, defeating Nazi Germany, pioneering space exploration and industrializing rapidly, it ultimately crumbled due to economic failures, political repression, and the immense human cost of its policies. Today, Russia, the largest successor state, still bears traces of its Soviet past, and the world continues to feel the impact of this once mighty empire. What do you think about the legacy of the Soviet Union? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more historical insights.